Before we start the meeting, I know people will be watching on TV. You're going to hear a humming in the background. We're not infested with bees. Our air conditioning's down. They're trying to fix it right now, so we have a fan trying to circulate some of the air around here. So please pardon the interruption or any inconveniences causes. All right, can we do a roll call, Marianne?
Mr. Gryczan?
Here.
Ms. Hruska?
Here.
Dr. Kuhn? Mr. Moon?
Here.
Mr. Walsh?
Here.
Mr. Welch?
Here.
Mr. Sinde?
Here. Okay, next item on our agenda is discussion and information items. FOIA request.
No FOIA request at this time.
Dr. Keene's here.
Let's show for the record, John King's here now. The next item on our agenda is a construction project payable summary. Mike Welch.
I gave everyone a listing with a CD. Everyone not get that? Basically, this is where the listing stands to date. You know, I did call it in the prior, on some of the prior agendas, I had the agenda changed to summary of payables as opposed to an audit, because this really isn't an audit of the construction fund or anything. It's just merely an accumulation of the records that are in-house here. The two items that were added to your CD list, this list, were the reports. So you have reports from McHugh and Company, and you have reports from the owner's rep, Oakwood Consulting. And I'm not sure if these are all the reports that exist, but these are the reports that were made available through the records in the business office. And then attached to this sheet, you'll see, based on the information I was provided, the construction numbers are somewhere in the $66 million number. And how I came up with that number, based on what they gave me, was all the White and Company checks, all the McHugh and Company checks, all the Oakwood Consulting checks, and then there's various other accounts that don't include those three companies, and there's their Fund 60 is the construction fund, and I can get you a copy of the tab A through N that shows these numbers, but that number, $66,686,232, is the number if you add up those particular items, the White and Company, the James McHugh, the Oakwood, by vendor list, and the various accounts. And I tried to make sure I didn't double count anything, in particular the McHugh checks. The other items that's on the report, I tried to assemble the change orders, and for the various change orders, I was only able to get, actually I was only able to get one out of the building. There was a change order for number 11, and the district had a file on change order number 11 that was 411 pages. And the change order 11 that I had from my board packet was 18 pages. So somewhere when the board was approving the various change orders, we were given a smaller packet. And somewhere the change order is actually a bigger packet. The rest of the change orders that are on the CD, is when you hit the link, are the pages that come out of the board packets that we had that was available because I had scanned them in previously. I reviewed the documents available in the business office, and I didn't see any other change orders. So I think we should instruct the administration to go back and verify, do we have any file cabinet or any box of change orders anywhere that we can add to this item? And I think we should instruct the administration perhaps to contact the owner's rep and see if any documents that, in my opinion, the documents that the owner's rep has, being the representative of the board, should be the board's documents or the district's documents, and see if there's anything in that possession. I know contact was made previously with no response, so I think we need to tell the administration to follow up on that. And then I think this document has a few minor mathematical items that need to be addressed. Garry confessed that when he converted some of these, some of the numbers have more than 2 decimal places, so we'd have to clean that up a little. But I got it to a reasonable certainty of the dollars that went out, and I think it's time that we, look at it again. And if you have any objections to posting it, you get a hold of Kevin, and we'll move forward, hopefully, in posting this for the public. I would like, if the board agrees, that we ask the administration to review in-house if we have any additional change order documents, which my understanding is they don't, but we should ask them and come back to us and tell us if they have them, and contact the owner's rep to see if there's any documents that exist that are the district's documents in the possession of the owner's rep.
All right, is there any objection to asking Kevin to do that?
Yeah, I think the board president should call the owner's rep because it was the board that hired the owner's rep. I don't think we should ask our administration to do that.
Any other body's opinion?
That sounds reasonable.
Nobody in administration was even here when we were working with the owner's rep, were they?
No.
And they've been gone for a couple of years. They may or may not have had to keep the,
I can't hear.
well, they may or may not have had, whatever.
Mike, you shut that fan off.
Shut that fan, please.
Whatever the contract says, they may or may not have to have kept records this long. Depends on what our agreement says with them. So,
I think we should take a step and ask them, see if they do.
but I kind of agree with Laura. We talked before about, we're going backwards. And Kevin's job is to look forward. So, it's just, to post more documents on the website?
Well, I think if we're trying to explain how we spent the money, that we need to have documents. And I think if at the highest levels of the board and the highest levels of the administration and the highest level in the business office, if these documents don't exist within the district, I think that's a problem. That somehow these documents are not in the possession. I think that's a problem. And I'm just trying to find out if they exist anywhere else that we can have them.
So the task is to contact the owner's rep?
Well, as the owner's rep, they were
Yes.
intricately involved as the representative of the owners, the district,
To ferret out any additional request work orders
to see if they have the change orders.
or change orders?
The only change orders I was able to find was number 11,
Yeah.
and then all the others that I was able to find were in board packets that were provided to me as a board member that I scanned in myself.
Yeah, that seems
No, I
surprising.
provided you a box, and in that box were packets that we approved before you were a board member. And there were change orders in those packets also.
Okay, I'll go back and look, but I don't recall seeing any. But I'll go back and look at that CD that you provided. The reports from McHugh that I mentioned earlier, a lot of those were in your CD, and I've incorporated them in this document, in this CD that you have provided to you.
Well, every change order was approved, so there's some record, whatever, meeting of some, there's 2 sets of records that we made it sound like earlier.
Well, the one example I found, there was 411 pages of a change order, and the board had 18 of those pages.
But what I'm saying is that whatever was approved by the board is part of the record from that meeting. Is that what you want the administration to find, the records from the meeting, the change orders?
No, I want the actual change order documentation folder, such as the example, the 411. The board wasn't given that 411 pages. The board was given 18 pages. So there's a bigger file on each change order somewhere, and that may not be in the district's possession.
Well, again, I've asked this question every time. I mean, my understanding is we're gathering all these to put them out on a website so people can look what they want. I've said many times that we did have a report. There's always been a report about what we spent. You're just getting more detail for that. So the question is it worth the time of our administration to go through and try to figure out whether there's 2 versions, an 18-page version, a 400-page version, so we could put 380 more pages times however many change orders there are out on disk or out on the website? Is that what we're trying to accomplish?
I'm asking if the administration can make a phone call, yes.
And we have said that if we're going to do this kind of inquiry, we would not put the burden on our administration. And it was the board that voted to hire the owner's rep. So the board should call the owner's rep.
You know what? I think it's getting tedious when you say that. Kevin can take 10 minutes of his lunch and make a phone call, and we're wasting all of our time talking about this. I don't think it's reasonable.
I think since the board wants to do that, because the board members, several even before you were a board member, sat for many meetings, like you said, and we took our time, and every penny that was spent was voted on in public. And so I do think we as board members, if we want to do greater scrutiny, we need to own the responsibility of that job.
We're asking Kevin to make a phone call.
Any other, Dan, Gary, you have anything to say?
No. If Kevin can reach out, make a phone call. If there's additional work that needs to be done to go to the place, I'll be more than willing to go out to the facility, or if it's McHugh or if it's Wright or what have you. If there's additional searching of documents, I'll be more than willing to go out there.
I'm okay with a phone call. I don't want to saddle our administration with any extraordinary tasks.
Okay. So,
We have other things.
right now, I see a majority of the board saying, so Kevin, why don't you make the phone call and give us back, if there's any pressure or anything that, where they won't give it, then why don't you contact me and I'll make the phone call. All right?
I also have one other, I'm concerned, because you have life safety mixed in here with the 60s that you're lumping in with construction. And I'm also concerned that these are not paired with the board meeting of which they were discussed in public and voted on in public. And in each meeting, we took the lowest bidder. Now, we've all approved a $32,000 sign. Are we going to bring that back next year and ask how they spent every dollar in that $32,000? Are we going to put up every document that goes into that $32,000 on our web so that we can justify that that sign actually cost that much to put in? Is this the precedent we're going to set with this board?
Well, first of all, I disagree with you very much. I think that a $66 million expenditure for a construction project, asking for the audit and making sure that the monies are all accounted for and that stuff is totally different than a sign that costs $28,000. Additionally, Mike and Gary are just providing facts that are in the files themselves to be able to show what was spent on this project. So they're not, what they're doing right now is just doing the research to have that happen, not involving any administrators, not involving any other of the staff to be able to do this, and going through what the paper trail is to make sure that this happens. $66 million is the most that this school's ever paid for a project of this sort in all of their school history. And if they're willing to take this on, and they're seasoned financial professionals who have looked at this, do this for a living, and be able to say, hey, I see some missing gaps here and missing information, to be able to provide a complete package that we can put on the website and say, here, this is what we spent and this is what it is. And if you have a problem with that, then so you've stated that once before, but what I'm saying right now is they have come back and provided detail upon detail of expenses. They have identified a missing area of some missing information, and being able to have that missing information filled addresses and completes what they want to do as the recap.
Well, you're making an assumption that there's an area of missing information because there never was an assumption that every document had to be submitted to the board for review. There was never an agreement that the board would have to look at a 400-page change order to approve that. Would you have expected that, to get a 400-page change order? You had a summary, and you were able to ask questions of anybody you needed to ask questions of. So I think you have set an expectation after the fact that was not there when the project was going on. And we need to clarify that and be fair in our evaluation.
Is there any other comments or questions on this? So what we're going to do going forward is Kevin will make the phone call. If there's any issues with this, he will then get a hold of me, and then I will try to follow up with Garry and Mike and see what we want to do for our next course.
Can the administration verify that there's no change order files anywhere?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, when we were originally requested this information, we pulled everything that we had, all the boxes that we had in the vault for you, but we can check again.
Okay.